In the early 1900s, an epidemic sprang up in Jefferson County, Kentucky, where Louisville is located. Because of the proximity of the Ohio River, the warm, damp climate was perfect for a particular bacterium to thrive. This germ, when breathed, causes a disease that afflicts the patient's lungs and other organs, and that not infrequently results in death. Highly communicable, this disease has existed since ancient times. Evidence of it is found in Egyptian mummies, for example. It is estimated that it killed as many people as 2 billion before the antibiotic drug streptomycin was found to be successful in treating the deadly disease. Of course, I'm talking about the disease of tuberculosis, also known as TB consumption, or most ominously, the White Death. Hi, I'm Tamworth Grice. Welcome to my channel, the Tamworth Grice Files. Here you'll find stories that are spooky, strange, macabre, fascinating, and just plain weird. And in each instance, I have a personal connection to the story, so be sure to stick around to the end to hear about that. Also, please subscribe. To deal with the tuberculosis epidemic in Jefferson County, a special 2-story hospital was built in the Waverly Hills area of Louisville. Waverly Hills Sanatorium was opened in July 1910 and was intended to house about 54 TB patients. In 1926, as the epidemic spread, the hospital or sanatorium was expanded to 5 stories, accommodating increasing numbers of tuberculosis victims, up to 400 to 500 in 100 rooms. The building was constructed on top of a hill where patients would be quarantined from the population of Louisville, and quarantine meant they were not allowed to leave at will. But unfortunately, many of these patients had to endure radical, invasive, and even harmful treatments such as electroshock therapy or placing heavy bags containing up to 5 pounds of lead on the patient's collar, or surgeries to collapse infected lungs, or removal of parts of the lungs, or removal of as many as 7 or 8 ribs. Due to the ineffectiveness of Waverly's sometimes barbaric treatment methods, death rates were high. Some say as high as 63,000 patients during its 50 years of operation. That's more than 3 per day. A body chute or death tunnel, a hidden tunnel, was used to transport the dead with the goal of not upsetting the living patients and of preventing the living from losing hope of recovery by seeing others who had died. This death tunnel was a 525-foot long enclosed underground tunnel with a steep 45-degree incline that led to the bottom of the hill. From there, diseased patients were transported via hearses or trains for burial or cremation. The sanatorium closed in the early 1960s, becoming obsolete due to the growing and successful alternative use of antibiotics to treat tuberculosis. However, perhaps unsurprisingly, for over 100 years, the building has been rumored to be haunted. In fact, BuzzFeed has dubbed it one of the most haunted places in the world. Ghosts have been spotted not only in the death tunnel on the first floor morgue, which might be expected, but in one additional spot, room 502. During the sanatorium's period of greatest use, room 502 was a nurse's station as well as a treatment area for patients. Who knows what barbarities the poor suffering patients had to endure in that room. But Waverly is perhaps best known for hauntings by two different nurses. In one popular story, in 1928, a young and beautiful head nurse, Mary Hillenberg, committed suicide, hanging herself from an overhead light fixture or exposed pipe in room 502. Some suggest she was upset over the abuses of the patients that she had witnessed. Others say she was despondent over being pregnant and unmarried, a great shame in the early 20th century. She was 29 years old, and the possible father of her unborn child was a married doctor at the hospital. There's also a story that the doctor who was her lover and baby's father tried to perform an abortion, but she died from the procedure, and the suicide was staged by the doctor to cover up the procedure, which was illegal at the time. 4 years later, another nurse died. She fell to her death from the fifth floor room patio outside room 502. In some versions, she committed suicide. In other versions, she was pushed. But by whom? An abused patient? Another nurse? A jealous lover? A doctor who had gotten her pregnant, like poor Mary Hillenberg? Or perhaps by a ghost? A more recent story involves a homeless man and his dog who may have been pushed down an elevator shaft by a ghost, and today they haunt the premises. Other alleged ghosts include a doctor and a child named Timmy. Today, the former Waverly Hills Sanatorium is open for ghost tours, and as of 2026, room 502 is a hotspot where visitors have reported the following, among other disturbing phenomena. Disembodied voices, such as whispers, humming, or a female voice screaming, "Get out!" Psychological and physical sensations involving feelings of extreme despair or the sense of being watched or cold spots in the room. And apparitions, including the little boy named Timmy playing with a blue ball or a figure in an old-fashioned nurse's uniform, hovering and looking into the room from outside the windows or standing in the doorway. Now, for my connection to the story. I'm from Kentucky, and various family members of mine have lived in the Louisville area. My mother lived not far from there before she married my father, and she was convinced the entire Waverly Hills area was haunted, and she wouldn't go near it. Later, before the formerly Waverly Hills Sanatorium was acquired by its present owners and opened for ghost tours, in the mid-1990s, a religious group bought it with the intention of turning it into a Christian worship center. Part of the plan involved creating the world's tallest statue of Jesus Christ, inspired by the huge Christ the Redeemer statue in Rio de Janeiro. One of those involved in the plan was a distant cousin of mine who was to be the architect. My aunt, however, said the statue would never be built because the building was cursed due to the medical atrocities that had taken place there. And she was right that it would never be built. Of the $4 million needed to make the project a reality, less than $3,000 was raised, and the project was abandoned a year after it was conceived. So, what do you think? Do you believe the Waverly Hills Sanatorium is haunted by the ghost of the two nurses who died, or by the ghost of abused patients, or by other spirits? Do you think stories about ghosts, haunting, and other paranormal phenomena are just a lot of rubbish designed either to scare people or to make money for someone? Or do you believe in ghosts and hauntings? Have you ever seen a ghost or experienced a haunting? What happened? Let me know in the comments. Thank you for watching. If you found this video compelling, please subscribe because I really need subscribers. Until next time, this is Tamworth Grice signing off. Stay wonderful, stay weird, and have beautiful dreams.